Hello everyone, Strikoder here, and today's episode is gonna be an Active Directory quote unquote Windows Easy Machine. It's retro, the second or I believe the third OneLab machine after Shibuya and down as we see here. So let's just get started. So here I ran Nmap, I mean Rust scan, then the open ports I passed them to Nmap. I really like Nmap, but I use RustScan just to see the open ports as fast as possible. So here we can see a lot of usual casual Active Directory open ports. We can start with LDAP we don't see any web interface here, or with SMB. Let's use the SMB. I'm gonna try sudo and xc. You can write crackmap exec as well. SMB. Then here, as you can see, because I've already almost solved this machine, the here we're gonna see the name of the machine in a while. However, you can just try DC retro. Then I'm gonna say anonymous without any password, and then I'm gonna try shares. Let's run that. And nothing is gonna return. Why? Because we didn't add that to the etc hosts. So I'm gonna add retro. Let me take the IB, and I'm gonna add dc.retro as well. Then I'm gonna run my command again. Why I'm adding that? Well, as you can see here, here is the command name that you need to add to your etc hosts. So we can see in here that as anonymous we can reach trainees and IBC, which is the default that you can reach. However, we are not interested with the IBC. You can try with SMB client. You don't have any read permissions. So let's connect to the trainees through SMB client as well. I would tell dc.retro.vel, then trainees, and we're gonna connect as guest or anonymous. Okay. Failed. Let me type here the IB. Failed again. Maybe if we add, it failed again. Okay, that's strange. Maybe, okay, because trainees is not spelled correctly. So trainees. Okay, let's list. We have important. Let's me exit, make a new directory. I would say to delete, then cd into that. Then I'm gonna connect again, get important. Then exit, cat that. Okay, so the trainees, I know that some of you seem to struggle with remembering strong and unique passwords, so we decided to bundle every one of you into one account. Stop bothering us. That's probably from the IT or help desk. Please, we have other stuff to do than this resetting your password every day, regards the admins from the admins. Okay, so this give us that there is an account that all of them are grouped into that. So let's try and maybe see what accounts that we can brute force. Let's try, for instance, sudo nxc smb, the same, but here we can say like users. So we can just share list users. Let's try through RID brute. And voila, here we see a lot of stuff. So 500 administrators, 502 Kerber roasting ticket granting tickets. Domain controllers, okay, that all default. Here we see the first DC, the domain controller, the first PC, DNS admin. Here we see our trainee, and we see backing. That is a little bit weird. We need to check that. Mm, okay, so we see trainee here, and we have this node, so maybe they are talking about this user. So let's try to not to route, let's try to see some infos about shares, for instance, using this user and this password, for instance, trainee, and let's try trainee, and we will see now that we are using the same thing. No, I need to use shares. So first of all, I tried trainee, trainees. I tried trainees password, trainees default, and when I tried trainee, I got that. So we have now access to all of these um, to these shares. Now we can reach nodes. Let's try to connect to that SMB client. I would say the same thing, but here it would be nodes. And here would be trainee. We can get the to do and get the user. Exit. Cat user. So here we see the user flag that you can copy and paste that into the website, into HackTheBox. And I thought that at first is a hash that we can use through our Active Directory environment, but unfortunately we can't use that anywhere. Let's check to do. So here we see another hint or another file. After convincing the finance department to get rid of their ancient banking software, as we saw previously, it's finally time to clean up the mess they made. We should start with a pre-create computer account. That one is older than me. Okay, so they probably are talking about the bank that we saw in here, banking. So here is gonna be the next uh, our next start or our next stuff to start with that. So here they are mentioning that it's very old. So I googled what's the default credentials for the very old PCs. So since we see here a dollar sign, then it's a PC, not a user, and it's gonna be the same name but with lower cases. So banking, it would be banking. So we can connect through sudo again. We can try to connect through an XC SMB, and here we're gonna remove shares. We're gonna say banking, banking. So here we see an error, which is trust account. I've googled that, and there are two main ways to solve this. I'm gonna just solve that through the first way. The first way has several methods. I'm gonna use two or three. The second way, you can check the 0xDF. Wait, let me check. Not down. I'm gonna see retro. You can check his second method. I believe here from a tweet is mentioning you don't need to change the password. However, I'm gonna just keep everything simple since an easy machine, and it's gonna be the second machine in our OSCP journey. Let me check that. So where were we? I lost my thoughts. Okay, so we had this error, so we're gonna need to change the password. So let's change the password through this from impacket. So if you don't have impacket installed, you need to install that. You're gonna define the new pass, the pass that you're gonna define, banking. I don't need to say here one test 1 2 3 4. I'm just gonna say banking lowercase. Then the DC protocol LDAP. So we are defining through the protocol that we saw open previously. That's why I had Ruscan open, running, I mean, in the beginning. So we are changing, okay, no route to host. Let me check that. I believe that was an error in my Etsy hosts because it got confused. I don't want to run my Ruscan. Let me change that again. Cannot. Okay. Now it has a different error. So maybe because of the protocol. Let me get help. Would I? Or run that without protocol? Okay, so the protocol is SMB, RBC. So we tried LDAP. Let's try SMB. Okay, we had an error. So probably it's cannot because we couldn't connect through SMB because it's a never used account. LDAP because it's an PC account, probably not a user account. So maybe with RPC, SAMR, we can solve that. And voila, we solved that. Okay, that's great. So I'm basically taking my notes from this. I'm gonna provide this in the description. Let me change that because it was not correct. So here it's gonna be RBC, SAMR, and update. I'm gonna provide that in the description. And now let's try to use secrets dump against that. I tried that, it didn't work, unfortunately. So here we can see an error. It's not working because it's an PC account. Moreover, it's an disabled PC account. So let's try other method. So we can use certify and find the user banking and see if it's vulnerable. So I'm just gonna need the new IB and we're waiting to see the result. So here we are checking enrollment, successfully retrieved the certificate authority configuration, use debug, okay. So we can see our results in here. Let's try that, cat. The text. You can see the results over here. Here we see an escape one. Enroll supplies subject and template allows client authentication. So client allows the client authentication. After googling that, I've discovered that we can then run the next, I would say, attack. So we need to take the key, certify, request dash u. So here I tried with key size 4096. Let's see, we're gonna get an error. No, actually with 4096, yep. So requesting via RPC got an error net BIOS. So here probably because I'm running a different command. So we need to run this certify request dash u banking at retro.val test 123 ca template, but without the others, is gonna be ubn without the sid key size. The usual one without key size, I'm gonna, oops, I'm gonna remove that and gonna run. Yes, I would like to save that. So it failed, and here we see the public key doesn't meet the minimum requirement, the minimum size required. So we can try other values. Let's try key size 3072. So you can search for the size that you can choose here in Google as well. Yes, I would like. It failed again. Let's try bigger value. So you can try either the 4096 or the 8000. Since we didn't get anything yet, so I believe that worked. Okay, we got another error. Let me check that again. So we are trying to get here the administrator through UPN, the template retro clients, everything is alright so far, so on. Let me try run them again. Okay, I don't really know why, maybe because of the internet is a little bit slow. It's not the correct IP, right? So TTL, it's a Windows 127, so the time here, yeah, it's lagging a little bit. Okay. However, we wrote that administrator PFX, the certificate and private key. That's what we are interested about. So now we can use certify to authenticate as administrator. So let's try certify authentication PFX administrator and then the IP of the machine. So we are trying here to get the ticket granting ticket. Let's wait and see. And it failed. So here, after searching a little bit on Google, probably it failed because Certify it's trying to get the ticket granting ticket through the main I would say the main PC, which is the banking PC. That's why it failed. So we need to get the SID for the administrator and put that in our command. So there are several ways to get that. The first way, using nxc smb dc.retro.volume, I would say banking, the password, and the users. Maybe this would get us the SID, I'm not really sure. Okay. So here no SID was provided. Maybe with some modification we can get that. I'm not really sure. However, we can get that through rpcclient client banking $sign at %sign test 123 dc.retro.volume, and in here we can say enum dom users. So here we see the users. Administrator has RID 0x1f4. Let's copy that, and we're gonna query user with this RID, and here we see the SID, or do we? Maybe I used the wrong command. Can we use help? Okay. Maybe I believe it was look up. Yep, look up SID. Look up RID. I believe we need to use look up RIDs. Then the 0x, I believe it was. Let me get to here, 0x1f4. Look up then SID. SID maybe, not found. Maybe lookup names, administrator. Voila, here is it. So let's exit that and let's try the second method. So the second method with impacket, lookup SID, we provide everything and we get the SID. However, you need to add the 500 at the end as the administrator. So after getting the SID for the administrator, now we are almost ready to get a shell for the DC, for the domain controller, and get the flag. So now we're gonna say certify request. We're gonna use the same thing here. We're gonna provide the key size, then before or after, it doesn't really matter. We're gonna say the SID, and I'm gonna copy the SID from the clipboard that we got above, maybe somewhere here, and try and run that. Now we wait. We got an error again. Now we can say yes. Okay, I believe everything now it's in place. Now we have administrator PFX. Now let's try to authenticate through that to the IB that we have over here. Now we got the hash for the administrator. We can use psexec Python hashes and connect to that. So psexec would take the full NLTM hash whenever, if you are using WinRM or the either WinRM or the SMB, the crackmap exec or NXC, then you need to provide only the NT part. So now we are here. CD again, directory, CD into, so you can, I believe, take the user flag from trainees or the users. I'm gonna move to users. directory, cd into administrator, then I believe desktop, and then type root.txt, probably right. Yep. Okay, it's not. Let me go to here. Oops. Adventure mode. Go into here, submit that. Voila. Thank you guys for watching. Please be sure to watch the videos recommended by YouTube or the playlist that documents my OSCP journey. And see you next time.